Have you ever felt stuck between attacking too soon and waiting too long for that perfect opportunity to strike? Let's talk today about Shikake Waza not as a technique or of a way of attacking, but instead as the mindset and the foundation for mastering high-level Kendo techniques. Shikake Waza is a name that we use for offensive techniques like kote, men, do, just to name a few. But Shikake Waza is not about the technique itself, it's about taking the initiative. How would you approach somebody if their sword was actually sharp? The answer to that lies on timing, pressure, and getting to know your opponent. Taking the initiative doesn't mean that you have to be the first person to engage into a technique, but you do want to be the first one to give pressure to the opponent. Pressure comes from intent. During your Jigeko, your goal is to keep your opponent on edge. And you do this by projecting a sense of pressure with your movements, with your body, even with your mindset. What you're trying to do is force your opponent to react so they can make a move that you can exploit. When I say that Shikake Waza is about taking the initiative, it really means that you want to be the first person to create pressure so that way your opponent reacts and therefore you have the upper hand. What are some ways that you use to create these feelings? And if you're struggling with something specific, let me know down in the comments so maybe in the future I can make a video specific about those things. But pressure is not something that you can only develop during Jigeko. You can also do it, and you should do it during Kihon and even at home. So if you want to learn and improve how to do pressure, you have to pay attention to what happens before the technique. Normally during Jigeko, we hyper-focus a lot on the strike itself, but paying attention to what you're doing to set up your technique is very important. During your Kihon practice, you want to focus on what are some of the things that you can do before the strike itself. And doing simple things like slightly closing the distance or fixing your posture can keep your opponent on edge and set the tone for your technique. What you're trying to do here is pay attention to the things that you can do in order to build that pressure, control the distance and the timing of the attack. As Motodachi, you can also take advantage of this time because you can start studying what it looks like when your opponent is closing the distance. What are they doing to set up their timing and rhythm? Not only so you learn to anticipate your opponent, but also you can start putting those things into your repertoire to put into your practice. Now let's talk a little bit about understanding your opponent and timing. Pressure is not only about what you're doing, it's also about what reaction you're getting from your opponent. Maybe they flinch, maybe they go back, or even they can rush into an attack that they're not ready for. All of these things you can take advantage of if you're prepared. If you want to improve your Kendo, you definitely want to understand when and how your opponent reacts, but also what do you do to get a reaction. Once you start understanding that you are gonna get a reaction from your opponent, you can put that together working with the timing. Maybe a better way to say this is that because you're the first person to put pressure, you know you're gonna get a reaction from your opponent. So now it's just a matter of figuring out when is the right time to attack. So for that, let me take you to the next part of the video. Start learning what openings look like and what techniques go with those openings. For example, if the tip of the shinai goes up, kote might be open. If they leave the center, men can be open. If they step back or lower the shinai, ski might be open. And if they raise their hands, of course, do might be an opening. These are very textbook openings, but it's definitely a good hint to where to start and what to start looking for. But you have to remember, it's not about waiting for these openings to be there. You want to anticipate them. And the point here is to start being prepared so you know what to do for each situation. Something that has helped me a lot with anticipation has been to start visualizing these openings so I can start preparing what reaction I'm gonna have. So then at the dojo, I'm not overwhelming myself into thinking too much about this. Because especially during Jigeko, you want to start trusting your intuition and adapt to each situation rather than wait and think and then spending too much time before your technique. So you want to start trusting your intuition, get in the habit of giving pressure and attacking, committing to the attack. A good place to start is after you're giving pressure and you feel your opponent's guard is about to drop, you commit to a technique because your timing will improve as long as you're the one giving pressure to your opponent. Of course you're gonna make mistakes, but that's okay. You want to just get in the habit of coming in, giving pressure and attack. If you make mistakes, start taking note of them. Try to figure out why your pressure didn't work, why this wasn't the right opportunity, why this wasn't the right technique. All of these things are going to give you information for you later on improve into your pressure, your timing, and your techniques. A quick tip I'm gonna give you is that if you feel that you're about to miss, commit. Especially in those moments, you're gonna be safer if you commit and you do a good follow through rather than you pull yourself back midway. Let's talk about something you can start practicing at home so you can build up that connection between giving pressure and attacking without hesitation. The first thing that you want to do is you want to find that sweet spot on your kamae where your attacks feels instant yet relaxed. You want to make sure that your back leg is engaged, your shinai is ready, and without any adjustment or without any extra tension, you're ready to move forward instantly. You don't have to prioritize being the fastest, but instead having a smooth transition from kamae into a technique. So after finding out that sweet spot in your kamae, you want to practice taking control step to closing into Isokuito no Mae in a controlled way. What you're looking to do here is push with your back leg as you lead with your right knee in order to start closing the distance yet keeping the back leg engaged. This is because if your opponent decides to come forward and attack, you can transition from that step into a technique. Now, if you feel that this is hard to do, if you're losing a little bit of control, one thing you can do is use a wall to help you keep your body posture as you move forward your right leg. Once you finish your step and you bring your back leg forward, you should already be in that position where your attack feels instant yet relaxed. The next step after that is going to be taking one step and then engaging into a technique. But it's very important that you don't let the momentum take you from the first step into the attack. And when you're practicing these motions, you can start practicing different type of patterns that you can use during Jigeiko in order to close the distance, give pressure, and transition into an attack. It's good to put yourself in a situation where you imagine you have an opponent and you practice around what different ways you can give pressure and then transition from that pressure into an attack. It doesn't have to be the fastest, doesn't have to be the strongest, but you start understanding how you can use your body and what are some of the things that you need to fix before you bring this into Jigeiko. Shikake Waza is about taking the initiative, using pressure, and not being reactive. Having this mindset and this attention to what happens before the technique itself is a stepping stone to Oji Waza and high-level Kendo skills. I'm trying to make this video accessible to different levels of Kendo, but depending where you are in your Kendo journey, all of these things might look a little bit different. As you start leveling up in your Kendo, you're gonna start feeling that there's something missing, and that thing is Tame. Tame helps you to stay composed, build pressure more effectively, and improve that connection between closing the distance and attacking. If you wanna dive deeper into Tame, you might wanna check out this video right here I made that goes into a little bit more detail. And for some reason my camera stopped recording, but I wanted to say thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you found something of value, please hit the like button, make sure you subscribe so you know when I post new videos, and share this with someone you want their channel to improve. Thank you very much for watching.